So we're here at Beardless, right here in the small little town of Milton,
Florida. Yep.
right? So in general, just real quick, introduce yourselves, and then how you partake in Beardless here. So,
I guess I'll start. Steve Dobbs. Been a Milton resident on and off for most of my life. I'm a Navy brat, so I kind of moved here and then moved out again, and went and got stationed someplace else, and came back and forth. Went to school at UWF for a number of years, and got my bachelor's and master's there. Then for professional, my regular day job, I moved off to Memphis, and then came back here for some family reasons, and met up with Nick, and ended up starting this place, and been loving it ever since.
okay. So this place started in 2018? 2018. Oh, okay. All right. So
I'm gonna correct Steve
Because
I can. Yeah, because I belong to you and you belong to me. I'm Leslie Dobbs, Steve's wife. Even though I'm not officially on the paperwork here, I feel like I'm the loudest.
She's Mama Bear.
Mama Bear.
Yeah, Mama Bear. We moved. So I was also born and raised here in Milton. Only moved once in my life to Memphis, Tennessee, and that was a really fun experience. But coming back was even better. My Steve husband came across this little brewery that had just gotten started and started hanging out, and eventually he somehow worked his way into helping them brew beer. Not surprising at all. And then they asked if we wanted to buy in and help, and we were in a position to do that, and we did. Nick didn't realize that he was also going to get me.
Yeah, I thought I was getting Steve.
Yeah, no.
I didn't know Leslie came as a package
it's a package deal.
Yeah,
it
it's a package deal. Absolutely. Sorry, not sorry. And I kind of help run the tap room bit. I don't know quite as much about beer as Steve and Nick do, but I enjoy pouring the beer and having the bartenders talk to people and selling the beer
And organizing
or
everything.
Organizing and doing the spreadsheets.
I did see you here quite often.
Yes, yes, I am. I'm also the only one that doesn't have a full-time job. I only maybe do the paying job once a week.
Okay.
So it helps.
So you have the most free time to do all
Yes.
this.
Yes.
Gotcha. All right.
I'm Nick. I'm one of the OG Beardless kind of founders. It actually started with me and a friend of mine, and we ended up parting ways a year into it. Steve bought in and was able to help me kind of continue Beardless and help us keep growing. And like I said, we've been here for 2.5 years, going on 3 years this year. Steve and I kind of do more of the brewing operations, brewing management. And Leslie's more of the event planning, and we've got some great people that help with the front of house that kind of take some pressure off of her as well. Got a day job. I'm a chemist. It's kind of how I got started in all of this, was just a passion for experimenting.
Okay.
So we got to kind of tinker with homebrew, and Dallas was my original partner, and we moved down here from Kentucky 5 years ago now. And we'd been brewing up there together for 4 or 5 years, and brought that passion down here, kept making beer every weekend, 5 gallons at a time in my garage. And somebody told me that they would pay me for some beer.
Okay.
So
I was going to ask you, when was the moment that you realized you were pretty good at it?
I mean, I like to think I'm good at it. I haven't made a beer though in a while, but most definitely. I mean, I've always wanted to open my own business and kind of be my own boss, and I'm not quite there yet. Still got that day job, that 9 to 5, dragging me down. But
so Beardless is your side hustle?
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, most definitely.
That's a pretty good side hustle.
Well, I mean, as soon as it starts paying me, it'll be good. Yeah, no, we're still small, and we're doing this for the passion of craft beer. We love beer so much that we don't take money out of this business. We're trying to grow Milton. We're trying to grow craft beer in the Panhandle, and every penny that we make is getting thrown right back into this.
Okay.
So we're just trying to grow the business little by little.
It's definitely a small city that deserves to be grown. So when you come here and you see that, and I just want to stop for a moment, that for the people that are listening, when you come here, there's a certain part when you walk past that picket fence that you get into this atmosphere of welcome, and you realize that you're amongst friends and everything else. It's almost like a small bit of Cheers that just landed right here, where you're just interacting with the same amount of people, and you see them, and even if you don't know their name, hey, you're saying hello. I mean, when you're in a small town of 10,000 people, you're bound to run into people that you already know or that you're going to eventually know. So I just want to thank you guys for having this place, because it's definitely a good gathering place for people to feel welcome.
That was our original plan. I'm from Lexington, Kentucky. The craft beer scene up there is probably similar to Indianapolis, right? Where 7 years ago, 10 years ago, it was really on the up and up, and craft breweries started popping up on every corner, kind of like they are down in Pensacola now.
Right.
And we saw that up there and came down here and realized there was a void that needed to be filled. There were bars, sure. There were restaurants that had a bar, but there was this unique void of community gathering place, and that's really what we strive to create. We wanted a small, inviting, non-discriminatory, open arms atmosphere. We wanted everybody to feel like they could come here, whether you're young or old or black or white or had dogs or had kids.
Right.
I wanted you to come here, and I wanted to know your name, and that has been a huge part of what Beardless is no matter when you come here, you're gonna, more times than not, at least see an owner.
Right.
We're here. We're part of this. We're not just money chasing more money. We're trying to become part of what Milton can be.
An investment and a contribution to the community.
Absolutely, to the community more than anything. Because I know what Milton can be.
Right.
And we're barely chipping away at the potential of this little town.
I agree. All right, so I'm going to ask, where does the name Beardless come from? Because typically your stereotypical craft beer enthusiast is an IPA, and they got the nice little, they even got the corncob pipe just to go along with the look.
Flannel shirt and the beard down to their neck. Yeah. That's
and that's just the waitresses.
That's right. That's definitely where part of the name came from. Dallas and I were looking at things. We'd explored opening a brewery in Kentucky. And the scene was very much what I would call stereotypical hipster craft beer. When you think Portland beer, Denver beer, you think big,
right?
Bearded kind of guys back there making your beer. Everybody in flannel and suspenders serving it. And it's really ironic because I can't grow a beard to save my life.
Gotcha.
So it started.
What you've got now is
That's a good
No, this is a solid 12 days though. It's a good neck beard.
It's good.
It's a good start. Yeah.
That's about as big as it gets.
That's it.
That's it.
Stop.
Yeah.
Still downloading.
Exactly. But I mean, that's where the name started. We really wanted something that wasn't necessarily tied to an area, because we weren't sure where we were going to start.
Okay.
So we had this idea in our head, and it was like, hey, someday, we might be able to kind of what I call go pro at this. And I don't necessarily want to be like Lexington Beer Company or Pensacola Bay or even like Gulf Coast kind of ties you to an area. Whereas Beardless, I can pick my brand up and go wherever I want to. And that's kind of, it was just synonymous with who we are, Beardless.
Right.
Can't grow the beard. What we kind of stand for, in that we don't necessarily do everything differently. We put our own spin on things, but we're not your typical craft beer bar, because we are very welcoming, very open. We don't have the stereotypical like hipster kind of crowd.
Right.
So we wanted to establish that, and then we wanted to be able to say, whether I'm on the water or 3 blocks off like I am now, this name fits our, at least, persona. We didn't want to be tied to one road or one street or one area.
Right. I think you nailed it on that, because honestly, it's more of a family gathering place from what I see.
Yeah.
When I come here and I can have my wife and my 2 kids here, and and I'm going to still have a great craft beer. You kind of hit the mark when you say you don't want to be that run-of-the-mill hipster stereotypical. This is a craft beer place, and that's it. If you don't know craft beer, you don't belong
You're
here.
not welcome.
And that's the thing that there's been a lot of breweries that I've been to that they kind of have that feel. It's like our beer is fantastic, and you should worship this stuff. Like, no. If you don't know a lot about craft beer, we want you to come here and experience it.
Right.
We want you to come here and try different things and learn that it's all cool, neat stuff. And we have so many people that come in here and say, I don't know anything about craft beer. I drink, American light lagers. What do you have? And we take the time to show them neat, new, cool flavors. We find a beer that fits what their flavor profile is now, and then start growing what they like by letting them try different things. And
Right.
find out, hey, we like this too, we like this. And everyone grows.
And then that's the best approach, because I'll tell you, I have friends, they try craft beer and they'll pick up something super hoppy and they'll be like, nope, never want to touch that again. I'm good with my Natty Light or something like that.
Well, you'll really be surprised when you actually take the time to talk to people, talk to customers. You figure out what flavors they like, or maybe they like ciders, maybe they like wines, maybe they drink cranberry, vodkas. Right. We can find a flavor, maybe not necessarily something we have on tap, but we can probably get close. We have a really wide range of our spectrum of beer.
Absolutely. Like today's release is the raspberry cheesecake sour, and I'm not a sour guy, but I'll tell you, this is by far one of the better sours that I've had.
That's so flattering.
Some sours that are made, and I'm sure you guys have tasted enough, they get that weird pukey bile aftertaste because it's done incorrectly. But this one finishes sweet and then tart at the same time.
If they're aiming for that flavor, great. There's a lot of breweries that try to go so far overboard into certain flavors that those flavors are great for the first sip or two, but then I don't want to drink an entire one.
Right.
That's the really great thing about craft beer, is that there's something out there for everybody.
Yeah, the spectrum is huge.
It's almost endless. There's very, very sweet. There's really, really balanced, really dry, very tart, very bitter, lights, darks. Everything you can imagine is out there, and it's just about finding the right fit for you.
Right.
And that's something that we try and provide, is a little bit of everything for everyone.
And that was the question I was going to ask you. On that note, what is the city of Milton drinking, and what is your connection between what you brew and what the community feedback is?
Notice the hesitation.
Because you got to appeal to your community for that support.
Most definitely.
I was going to say, obviously, Kayak Fuel or Cream Ale, our lightest beer that we have, that's our most popular.
Okay.
It was named Kayak Fuel because that's the recipe that Nick came up with when he was looking for a beer to go out on the river and kayak around. In the hot Florida summer, it's fantastic.
Can't be beat.
Yeah.
You can't be beat. But then we have some other, we go off into different flavors. We mentioned our sours. A good sour in Florida in the summertime also can't be beat.
And this season is definitely the summer of sours.
It's so refreshing.
I think we got past the summer of hazies, and I think we're moving on to the summer of sours.
Absolutely.
So.
Yes. We're ready for that.
But then we also do a couple of neat barrel-aged beers. Our Imperial Stout, when we bring that back once a year. All the dark chocolates and whiskey barrels behind that. It's fantastic in October, November when it's
Absolutely.
Getting cold. Then we got a few different IPAs. It's the people in Milton have been drinking a bit of everything. It's
okay.
There's a lot of people out here who haven't had the exposure to a lot of things.
Right.
So they're trying all this neat stuff and going, wow.
Yeah.
I never knew this existed, right? And here it is in my backyard.
This is beer. This is that's not an uncommon statement.
Right.
Obviously, Kayak Fuel is going to be our best-selling beer. Most people are used to drinking American light lagers, Bud Light, Mick Ultra. Those are synonymous with beer drinkers. So we have a beer that captures that market. I think we are becoming more known now for our sours.
Okay.
We do fruited sours. I think we do them pretty well. They're kettle soured. So they're not like traditional Belgian or anything sours where they take years to make.
Okay.
They are the American sheet sour, but we, I think, perform them pretty responsibly by sorry.
Yes.
A little bit.
Yeah.
No, I think that we make them really responsibly. We don't try and make like sugar soda beers.
Right.
Maybe a year ago, I think the brewery up north got in trouble for just dumping a bunch of fruit into their beer, and they labeled the alcohol content wrong.
450 North.
I wasn't going to name drop.
I said it.
Yeah.
You know why? Because I went there several times, and I'm like, I'm walking away. You good to drive? I'm good to drive.
They've got a million. They've got a million, followers. They have lines for days on their slushy beer releases.
It's popular.
Absolutely, it's fruit juice.
Yep.
That isn't craft beer to me.
Right.
So we do things. We approach things a little bit differently. We try and balance our flavors a little bit better. We want you to know that it's still beer. Yeah, it tastes like raspberry and cheesecake, but we try and achieve those flavors in what I would say is the most craft way possible.
Still leave the craft into it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Rather than just trying to turn and burn a product.
Yeah.
And I'll say 450 North because I went there, I talked to them, and when the news broke, I was like, those bastards, But,
You said it was 8%, but it was really 2%.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. But, to each their own.
Yep.
Everybody has a different palate, and they're popular, and they have a good following.
Doing very well, and a lot of people really enjoy their products.
Yeah.
And you can't hate them for chasing that market. They are kings of that market right now.
They have it cornered.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
If you love that big sweet flavor,
that's it.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
We prefer to take that fruit and actually ferment it as a part of the process.
Right.
So the sweetness goes away. You're left with what I consider to be a little more balanced and all the flavors there. But so after drinking one, you're not done of that flavor.
Right.
It's not too much.
No, I think there's an avenue for it. I think it could be a good introduction for someone that introduces it as craft beer, and they go, wow, this is craft beer, and then they progress. No different than having your first IPA, and then you have that double IPA, and you go, oh, no, my palate's a little bit more mature, here we go, and I can enjoy things for what they really are, how they should be.
Yeah.
So,
and even in that regard, we zig when everyone else zags. Our double IPA is actually more malt balanced than some of our single IPAs are.
Right.
So our double IPA is actually easier to drink and a better balanced beer.
Bring down that pungentness.
And probably more popular than our singles.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I had a customer say yesterday that he was convinced that what I had given him was not a double IPA.
Yeah.
It's not a double IPA.
Fighting words.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
But if you do it right.
Beer is so broad.
Yeah.
What a double IPA is, it ranges from piney to fruity to bitter to balanced to malt. Like Dogfish Head 120 is an extremely popular beer. Very, very, very malty.
Very malty. Yeah.
And
it's almost like a hop schnapps or something like that, rather than being that bang in the face,
Absolutely. But that beer is incredibly different than our Overboard double IPA.
Right.
And it is a double IPA, but you can't let the word, which is,
and people get like that.
Yeah, they do.
100%.
They see IPA and they're like, I don't like IPAs.
Right.
And it's like,
You'd be
give
surprised.
this beer a chance.
Yeah.
Give this beer a chance because I will find something that you like. Even
I agree.
if you don't drink beer, I will find something on my menu that you can at least have one or two.
I agree. And then that is one thing that you guys do have. You guys have a full spectrum on that menu, from someone that does like that lager to someone that's going to like that, that coffee chocolate stout that, someone is just wanting. So I do want to touch base, and I talked to Leslie for a moment about this. So let's go back in time to March of last year when things kind of hit the fan a little bit. Obviously, nobody in this case had in a case of emergency, pandemic, break glass, and this is what we do. So I kind of wanted to know what you guys did to adapt and what you learned from some of the restrictions that rolled out and how that affected you as far as a local business trying to survive.
Well, we kind of fell into a couple of things serendipitously. First off, we had a great customer base, a very loyal customer base. I love them to death. They're awesome.
It's been good to us.
Yeah.
They've been fantastic to us. Second, we had been trying to get into being able to serve growlers and get our license to serve growlers and growlers for literally 6 months. I mean, we had bought the machine. It was sitting in here. We had cans. We were ready to go, and we kept getting delays from the state. I'm not sure why. I could go off on a long story about how that happened, but we had the equipment sitting here,
ready to
and literally the day before the shutdown was announced, Monday, we got our license. We got our license. So they said, "Okay, we're shut down."
Tuesday.
And Tuesday, we went through a quarter of our cans.
We sold more on Tuesday than we sold any day previous year to date.
Yes.
Wow.
It was March, so it wasn't a big deal.
Not a lot.
But I mean, we went through a vast majority of our cans on one day. We, of course, didn't have a whole lot of cans because we were, not expecting.
What's the expectation?
Right.
Right.
But immediately we saw that and we went, and ordered a pallet of cans that day. Didn't know where we were going to put it because we're in such a small building. Yeah. It was like, had no room to store it, but we're buying pallet of cans.
4 days.
This worked out great because a couple of days later, when all the other breweries they tried to order cans, they were out of cans.
Right.
So we had a couple of the breweries in Pensacola call us and say, "Hey, we understand that you just got a pallet of cans. Our cans aren't going to be here for a few more days, and we're almost out. Can you borrow some cans?" Absolutely.
Wow.
Send some folks with some boxes.
Yeah.
Nice.
So we were able to keep some other folks alive.
I love that our little brewery community really came together.
It really is. That's one thing I love as well, is that every brewery owner that I've spoken to, every brewer that I've spoken to in this area, they're willing to help.
That's what it's about.
Yeah.
I mean, really, it is.
It's a larger scale, but hey, can I borrow a cup of sugar? Can I borrow a bag of grain? Absolutely.
I don't know a single other industry where I can walk into your place, talk to the owner, purveyor of the business, and say, "What's your recipe for this?" And they'll tell me.
Right.
Yeah.
No other industry.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Because it's cutthroat competition
Absolutely.
on any other industry.
Right. That's the great thing about craft beer is there's enough to go around.
Right.
There is.
We've got 17 what I would call local breweries in Santa Rosa and Escambia County, and I think there's room for that.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't feel bad asking any of the other 16 breweries to borrow a bag of
I
grain.
mean, you have one across the street.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you could literally have one next door.
And he's helped us out.
Right.
We had some CO2 issues.
I sincerely
he let
think
us have a
that
tank,
both
yeah.
of our businesses are doing better now that we're here and kind of advertising together, right?
Yes.
Like now it's not just, hey, I'm going to go to Brew Angels, I'm going to come to Beardless. Now it's like, hey, I'm going to go to Milton.
Right.
We start becoming that destination location. So I want a couple of beers and dinner. All right, I'm going to go down to Milton. I can get a couple of good craft beers and dinner now. 2 years ago, that wasn't a thing
Gotcha.
at all.
Gotcha. Was there ever a moment that you guys just looked around and said, "Oh no, we're not going to get through this"?
No,
No.
I don't think so. No. I mean, during the pandemic,
There were a few times where we said, "Oh no, we can't make enough beer."
Yep.
That's a good problem.
It is. It's still a problem.
It still is.
But we were very fortunate. We have low overhead compared to a lot of the bigger breweries. We're on a 3.5 barrel system. That's what 95 gallons, something. Math means. I mean, it's not much beer. We're able to keep those costs low, and like I said, Milton has been really good to us. They were able to come out and support us. Whitingfield, they were able to come out here and grab to-go beers. Without the military guys, I don't know if we would have made it.
And even the city government, when we finally could start kind of reopening a little bit, and the governor gave the guidance, or whoever it was in the Florida government gave the guidance that breweries could reopen if they had food on site.
Yep.
There were some issues with food trucks in the city of Milton. We went to the city of Milton, the council, and said, "Can we have a food truck?" And they agreed to let us have a food truck while this is going on to keep small businesses operational.
Wow. Yeah, you couldn't ask more than the support that you guys got. I'll tell you, like, one of the first time I met you, Nick, was I pulled up and I was expecting to get a couple of crowlers, and you're like, "We're all out," and I was like, "Dang it!" But at the same time, I was so happy because it's such a good problem that you guys had to encounter.
There's always things that we're always trying to grow. We wish that we could just have a 10 barrel system set up and just pump out beer as fast as we can make it and they sell, and that'd be great. But I think we would lose a little bit of the community that we've established. So I really don't mind being small and kind of growing as Milton grows.
It's actually really nice, especially to we'll say a craft beer hobbyist.
Yep.
When I see that you guys are pumping out new releases, and I sit there and I go, "Man, they got another new release. I guess I have to go check it out," right? And like I said, sour's not my thing.
We do
but
a
I'm
new
going to check it
release
out.
about every week.
It's amazing.
Probably on average more than one a week.
And you can't do that on the larger scale because then you're married to that for X amount of time, and you're just trying to pump it out so you don't lose the the margin on that.
Right.
You know, so all right. So Beardless, in a nutshell, used to be a service station at one point in
Yeah,
time.
the building was
Okay.
back in the '60s. It was a Gulf station.
Okay.
We saw this rundown, kind of dilapidated property a couple of years ago, and it was overgrown with shrubs, and the windows were boarded up. We were like, "Hey, that place has potential."
The garage
The
door.
garage
doors
doors.
didn't work.
$10,000 at garage doors later, here we are. No, but like I said, we couldn't be happier. We are right across the street from Brew Angels. They helped us immensely. You know, they already had a year's worth of followers
Right.
when we showed up and started piggybacking off of that. And then I think that together, collectively, we were able to really grow the number of people that knew that there was craft beer in downtown Milton. And
You know, and even with that, you know, I love the fact that, you know, we'll do live music on a Saturday night, and we have, you know, we got a lot of folks here, and then
Yep.
people are sitting outside of Brew Angels,
Yeah.
you know, drinking his beer, eating his food, listening to our music.
that's cool.
It's a
Nothing
beautiful
cooler.
thing.
It's
Yeah.
nothing cooler.
Yeah, for that local artist, that's
Oh, yeah.
awesome. You know, you're getting the exposure on both sides of the street
Absolutely.
Exactly.
all day.
Yep.
So, what can we expect a year from now, 5 years from now?
We got a lot. We got a lot in the
Yeah.
works. Do we drop bombs here or no?
I mean,
Just a hint to keep
So-
us excited. How about that?
Yeah.
Big things are coming. We want to be closer to the heart of downtown Milton. We've outgrown this place. We've already moved our brewing operations outside. We are literally bursting at the seams. We've got our grain in a shed. We put in a huge cooler out back. We literally can't make more beer here.
I believe our assistant brewer got stuck between
Fermenters.
fermenters.
Yeah, the other day.
That's
They're
Wow.
so tight together. He was trying to clean and got stuck. It's probably that freaking beard of his.
it is.
It
We need
is.
to get that shaved.
That's why
We need to
we
get that
Should
shaved
make a
off.
policy.
Yeah, no beer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the running joke here is that, you know, if Leslie cleans and does a great job of cleaning and making room for something, we fill it with something new. There's
That's it. As soon as there's a spot, we fill it up.
There's a foot over here.
Yes.
Yes.
We can do that.
Well, I
Wow.
mean, we
Very much
Put it
so.
fermented.
No joke.
That's it. So we moved from a 1-barrel system 2 years ago. We bought a 3-barrel system in the middle of a pandemic last year. We've already
Now-
bought some 7-barrel fermenters, and
now
more
we're
fermenters are on the
double
way.
matching into that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Our sales year to year are doubling. We need more space. We're currently under contract on a building closer to Blackwater.
Okay. Wow.
Later this year, we expect to be moving locations, and this is kind of the first public acknowledgement
Okay.
of that.
Okay. So big things to come.
Beardless is
Yeah.
getting much bigger, and I think that
It's well deserved.
all of us
It's well
are
deserved,
very,
though.
very excited to see what 2021 can really bring for Milton.
Okay. Man, that's exciting news.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you, you guys do it right. You know, there's just a touch of that community embrace here. And like I said, I've been in here for about a year, and this is one of the first breweries I came here, and I'm like, man, this feels right. This feels like home. You know, and that's
That's so
the
cool.
that's the atmosphere
That's
that
so
you have here.
And that's one of the great things. I've had so many people that aren't from Milton, you know, maybe pilots, college students, retirees, whatever, say that you could pick up this building, this brewery, and put it in Omaha, Nebraska, or
Omaha.
Berkeley, California, or
Portland.
Washington,
Denver.
or Denver, or East Coast, anywhere, and this little, garage
Right.
brewery would be a cool little
Fits.
local hangout.
It fits.
anywhere.
Like you said, it's
Very inviting.
universal. You pick it up
Yes.
and you go and they go, that's a brewery.
Yes.
Right there. Right. So we're flirting with this last question. So answer it the way you want. This, that, and the other.
Yeah.
Celebrity, historic figure, dead or alive. Who do you want to have a beer with?
Ben Franklin.
Ben Franklin.
Yeah.
He did have that quote, right?
He absolutely
He had that
yes.
quote that said,
Absolutely.
beer is a sign that God loves us or something like that.
And
So
it wants us to be happy.
It wants us to be happy.
I'm sure he has.
Although really, my second one on that, kind of just to kind of geek out into the brewing aspect,
Mhm.
would be Fritz Maytag.
Okay.
Who
The
took
anchor?
this- yeah. Who not? I mean, he didn't found it, but I mean, he rescued it and took
Yeah.
over Anchor
Yeah.
and made it into a
Kept it alive.
fantastic place.
Yep.
And, I've got a friend who actually met him while Fritz was doing a tour.
Wow.
And Fritz Maytag did not say that he was giving a tour. It was not advertised. He was just doing the tour one day. And my friend said that's Fritz Maytag who's doing the tour for me.
That's cool.
So
That is cool. And nerdy. You're right. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's
I can
fine.
nerd out.
I like it. No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure. No pressure. I'm just gonna.
If it helps you, I said Keanu Reeves. That was my answer.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's-
Why
But
Keanu Reeves?
Have you met? Have you,
No, I haven't.
See,
No.
there you go.
All right.
He
so-
did The Matrix, right?
Is it me yet?
It is
Is it
you.
me?
I'm
Is
sorry.
it me?
Go
Is
ahead.
it me?
Go ahead.
Okay, thanks.
It's not all about you, Alyssa.
Sometimes it is. Yes.
She did get the hat.
She did get the hat. I was
Yeah.
jealous of the hat.
She has stickers too.
What?
Yep.
Chris, if you're,
Well,
if you're trying to get free merch, you gotta bribe the right guys.
She coordinated this thing.
He didn't know that y'all would be here.
Yeah.
It
Sorry.
would have been a much
Probably
different
secret.
conversation without her.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
I'll
why
call.
I thought-
I'll call headquarters.
Yeah.
Right. All right. So
She's the boss.
I told you I'm the loudest owner. I would love to have a beer here with Mark Hamill.
Really?
That yes, here. Here.
That would.
First question.
I don't know that I would actually be able to talk.
No, you just let him
I
talk.
just, yeah.
You'd be like-
I mean, I don't think I even
You
want to try.
poke maybe?
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
poke to make sure it's real?
Right, right. Yeah, I might.
Well,
I
the first
might do
question
that.
obviously would be, what kind of beer can I get for it?
Yeah. Yeah. That was a big one.
Oh.
That was
I
a-
don't.
I set you up. Fail.
Right.
No,
yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, make that you talk to his people, he'll talk to your people, make that happen. Absolutely.
Okay.
Nicholas?
I don't know many famous people. Who do I want to talk to?
Hmm.
God, I really don't like talking.
That's okay.
I'm pretty sure he's like said the most. Is,
I wasn't gonna say it on it, but I'll edit that part out.
Who do I want to have a beer with? Pamela Anderson.
Pamela
There
Anderson.
you
oh,
Okay,
yeah, that'd be a
okay.
fun beer.
That would be an interesting conversation, I'm sure.
No, it'd be good. I wouldn't
Yeah.
say much.
Yeah.
No, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
again, I don't think you'd be.
Don't let my wife hear this one.
No, I'll edit. I'll edit. Nick had no answer.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Well, I thank you guys for letting me come here and just have a
Absolutely.
small chat, and I definitely appreciate the time. I enjoy just picking the brain and just understand the adventure that you guys are on right now, because you see, in this past year, there's a lot of small breweries that didn't make it, and you guys figured out a way to survive, and you've adapted, and you escalated into a manner of, okay, we were going to do this, now we have no choice but to do this.
Sure.
So to roll out what you guys did is pretty amazing. The city of Milton really thinks that you guys exist, and I thank you guys that you guys exist, because it is pretty amazing for me to be here, and it feels like home. My family understands, I'm going to go to the brewery, and they're like, oh, just like back at home? And I'm like, yeah. So I'm teaching 2 little kids to enjoy craft beer for the actual art of it, and not that it's somebody that's just drinking beer. So it's definitely a beautiful thing you guys here, and I thank you.
Cool.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chris.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. I appreciate the time.
Yeah, absolutely.